So let me give a quick synopsis of pretty much a quick. It's a very in-depth article written by TJ Coles on Grayzone. The title is How the US Enabled Ethiopia's Bloodletting Training Its Military While Playing Innocent Observer. So I mean, as many of you are pretty aware, the central government in Ethiopia right now is at pretty much at war. They're fighting against this resistance, or however you call them, that are in the Tigray region, so in the northwest. So the northwest of the country is pretty much fighting with the army, the central government.
Tigray separatists, pretty much.
Yeah, so put it that way.
Or
And the main here, let me read this. This summarizes the article. The Biden administration has sanctioned Eritrea and Ethiopia for alleged crimes against the Tigray people. But over the last 3 decades, successive US governments trained and modernized Ethiopia's military under the cover of peacekeeping operations. So it's pretty much, I believe, the argument that is making is that, fine, maybe right now the US is not meddling too much in this conflict. However, over the decades, they've trained and been very much involved with Ethiopia's military. Is that fair of the general argument? Although the article is very historical in the sense that it goes back decades and talks about what's happened.
I found the historical parts of the article, it was fantastic and all that, because there's so little about, there's very little online about TPLF or whatever, these groups and all that. But yeah, the parts where America, I don't like, what do you expect America to do? I don't understood that. Like I didn't like the title of the article and the parts where it got a bit morally. Like, yeah, of course they trained them. They had a deal with the government.
Yeah.
Like, and Soviets, by the way, also trained them, because they all were, it was like, you know, they were just like Nasser and to a lesser extent Gaddafi, you know, these North African sort of, they were trying to do a balancing act of, you know, between Soviet Union and US. And then after 91, there was only one game in town, US. So I don't know, but yeah, so I found those parts weird, but besides that, it was fantastic. Like as they stand by, what should they interfere? Should they intervene? That worked out well.
I mean, I don't know if the author would say that, but yeah, I mean, maybe if you have a very good faith. Besides that, the article is really good, but yeah, the things that we're nitpicking,
it's fantastic
right here, kind of. And I also have one criticism after, but I guess like the author is just trying to make the point that the US played this role in the past, and then just highlighting it for people to be aware.
I think sure, but I would say Ethiopia especially, it's one of the few countries that basically was never colonized and all that, so they have a great level of agency as well within their, like like this idea that US came and trained them as if like they just walked in. You know, somebody may have invited them, or there were connections, or they may have, I mean, walked in some cases.
They walk in a lot of cases, we do know that, but they don't. But
Ethiopia though is not one of those necessary cases, I would say. In fact, well, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the Ethiopians. Are we going to talk about the nitty-gritty of the Ethiopian civil war?
I mean, as much as you know and you want to discuss. But I mean, I love to do that. There are 2 points I kind of wanted to make. One is that the article I feel like the article should have talked about this. So the article is talking about how during decades they trained, you know, the Ethiopian army and all this. But the Tigray, I feel like when you talk about the Tigray minority, and they're 7% of the country, but they're a very specific kind of minority in the sense that they ruled the country for 2 decades or so. They were extremely active, and they, you know, right now they're still.
The article mentions that.
Do they? Does it like highlight that? Okay, so I mean, these people also received the training, and they were also part of the military.
That's the thing, yeah.
And the Tigray people. I mean, right now the head of the WHO, he was part of that Tigray government. You know, that's how much this minority kind of population, how powerful they are. So I felt like that didn't come out of the article enough, if it was mentioned, and if it was, I missed it, and my bad.
No, it was definitely mentioned, but yeah, I would say it's not highlighted the fact that it doesn't. I mean, it does mention it for sure that following the collapse of the Derg regime, I'm probably mispronouncing all the names because I just read them. I've never heard them, but yeah, you had the emperor, who's, by the way, you know, the Rastafari movement in Jamaica. The emperor of Ethiopia inspired that. Like they
Really?
believe him. Yeah, they believe him to be the second. They believe him to be Mehdi, the savior of the savior promised in Islam and the second coming and all that. He never rejected their claims, but he never fully like went, I'm Jesus either. But anyway, you had after that, you had a sort of a nationalistic pro-Soviet, at least in words, regime that played ball with the US. Then after that, you had the civil, like, and during that pretty much, you had the civil war, which led to the Tigray minority, which played a big role in the fight against the regime. They pretty much took over, I think, in 1991, and were pretty much they until 2016. I think when is the 2012 is the guy dies, the original
Yeah.
dictator dies, and then there's 2-3 years of his like vice president being thing, and then you had the Abiy, Muhammad Abiy, who's the current president, who comes from one of the minorities who was mostly
No, he
most
doesn't come
badly
from the
hit.
minority. I think he
He
comes
comes
from the,
Oromo.
yeah, they're the
No,
biggest pretty much.
yeah.
Oh,
No, I don't
sorry.
mean as in from an ethnic
Mhm.
tribe that was very badly hit by Tigray rule.
Gotcha.
But he was part of a coalition with them. He was not like some fucking transformational figure. He was, but he could capitalize on his Oromo, I believe, roots. You're right. The article doesn't mention that Tigray have been in, that they, and that's why, by the way, it escalated into a civil war so quickly, because Tigray pretty much compromised probably more than 50% of Ethiopian military,
Mhm.
and and there are two other regions that collaborate with them, and but
Mm.
it was a you're right. It didn't
I feel
highlight
like
them
that wasn't
in that
mentioned up, and it's
sense.
just such an important thing. And I mean, the proof of how powerful it is that they just fought against the main government over the past year, and there seems to have reached a stalemate or even defeated them to a certain extent. So just
It's a
showing of how
stalemate. Yeah, they
stalemate.
kicked them out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they are an Eritrean, an Eritrean Ethiopian history is intertwined pretty much. I would say it's part of Ethiopia. Eritreans are they are apparently it is claimed by Tigray forces that they're helping the Ethiopian government.
Yeah.
Sort
And
of,
that's one of the
and they,
main
that's one of the main contentious issues between the Tigray party and the Abiy coalition, because they felt in his peace deal with Eritrea, which gave him the Nobel Peace Prize, he may have he may have sort of too much collaborated with a foreign enemy.
Yeah. So this article is really good. I would say overall. But one other thing that caught my attention, and I went and found a few tweets, so we're gonna show this. And this, I guess, is a good thing to see that two people with different point of views working for the same organization on this. But the takes that Ben Norton has had, and Ben Norton, I don't think has done too much reporting on this issue, because I checked their channel. They just have one video interview that is specifically on Ethiopia from 2 months ago. And I'm not sure if Ben Norton wrote an article on this. So he hasn't gone like too deep into it, I believe.
I just opened them.
Okay. Yeah, so let's start with the first one that you sent me. But his takes on this they haven't resonated too much, like based on like the little bit of knowledge that I have on Ethiopia as well, learning past year. They didn't really seem to go together. So let me read out these 3 tweets that we got. So Ben Norton, the first one, says, there is a brutal Western propaganda war being waged against Ethiopia. I don't know, even that I haven't seen too much. The US government is desperately trying to block peace with Eritrea, prevent integration of the Horn of Africa, which the US wants control, and sabotage China's Belt and Road projects there. The last part, yeah, I see it. No, maybe
I have a.
Do you want me to continue with the tweets, or you want to break them down kind of one by one? Go ahead.
Just before we go ahead and read the rest. I would say I have a strange point of agreement with him there,
Mhm.
but not in a way that I think he thinks. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
then
But what is it now that you pointed it out?
Oh, okay. I would say, yeah, sure. Like US never wants Ethiopia, in a way, Ethiopia and Egypt, and to a lesser extent Somalia. Like all these nations could become a regional hegemon, just in the same way China and
Mhm.
Japan could become, or Russia or Germany could become in Europe and all that. So I would think, yeah, sure. Like US would, I would imagine, try to, if they see, for example, if there is a proper plan for integration in Horn of Africa, they would definitely would try to balance the power, just like like British imperial policy was balance of power, and this concert of Europe and all that. But yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah,
But
no, that
that's
part.
not news really. But
Same.
and the propaganda war, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, especially, I mean, it's maybe there is, but if you compare it to like other ones that they do, it's just so little compared to it that it kind of undermines other things that they have. They're much more, active with setting the narrative. Here's this
I feel
second
like
tweet.
it's completely ignored, really. But
If anything, yeah.
the
I mean, Al Jazeera exactly, they cover it. Um,
poor
so his second tweet at the
last
UN.
man stand.
At the UN, Ethiopia condemned the external destabilizers backing the TPLF's war on the government, warning foreign meddling is destabilizing the Horn of Africa. It denounced the growing intervention in sovereign countries and scrambled for natural resources. So here, I mean,
Really?
his reporting here is a bit weird. It's just so mainstream. Like he literally took like the words that this ruler of another country has said at face value and kind of presents them as, he agrees and they're
And by the way,
the
yeah,
truth.
you remember the whole, I think it was Ben Norton about Joe Biden UN speech that it was all lies, and he
Yeah.
was saying, of course these are all lies too.
They're
Like
like,
I'm again, like of course I'm sure intervention in sovereign countries is bad. A scramble for natural resources is bad. But then again, if we do it,
yeah,
it's okay. It's like
exactly.
if Ethiopian government does it for a bunch of friends we have here. So yeah, sure, but like that's like yeah, external, yeah. Of course they did. Like this is like, yeah, Saudi
And then,
Arabia. Anybody who criticizes Saudi Arabia, they say they exactly issue the same things. Like it's the go to. And by the way, to be honest, I am actually again like I do think it's better for Muhammad Abiy. Like I would think Ethiopia's future in the hand of a strong man, and I do think Muhammad Abiy is becoming a strong man, would probably be better than this sort of wishy-washy democracy that they have. But so like, but yeah, but they're gonna lie. Of course, they're gonna lie. Yeah.
and then the last one, this is where I think it really highlights that this one really goes, if you ask me, against what the article was saying. As the US backed insurgent group TPLF wages a war and destabilized Ethiopia and Eritrea, the government and local media say separatist fighters were caught diverting US and UN food aid and hoarding it for themselves. US aid was forced to issue a statement. So this, I feel like this goes completely to the opposite because he makes it seem the US, he's saying that the US is backing the TPLF, so the Tigrayan, whereas the article is saying pretty much that the complete it's not saying that they're supporting the
No,
central
no,
government right now, but it's saying that they did, and right now they're just letting it go. And I mean, I'm glad
right?
that
No, it literally says they're adopting a policy of wait and see who wins, and then we
yeah.
deal with them.
Yeah,
Like no,
at the end he says that that last sentence was very true and sobering. I think it was a good assessment. So I'll show this on the screen right now. And he wrote that if the historical precedent is anything to go by, the current approach is to forge an alliance with the victor after the bloodletting final ends. So I think his take is much more closer, and his arguments are much more closer to based on what I've seen and what I understood. And I don't know where Ben Norton got this whole thing that the US is so on the side of the Tigrayan to destabilize, especially,
by the
sure, I
way,
understand there's been, sorry, one last thing. I understand that there seems to be some kind of falling out between the US and Ethiopia. Something's going on, but as you mentioned, they love this guy. I believe they used to love this. They gave him the Nobel Peace Prize. Maybe that's more the Europeans, but that's usually a sign that you're a guy and we like it, and
Well,
you
that's the
have
thing
a
though.
way.
We love you. They loved Gaddafi. Blair
Yeah,
hugged Gaddafi. We love you until you become a bit of a problem. So I don't know. That's the thing. He's got a bit of an independent streak. He snubbed, Ethiopia snubbed Samantha Powers for something. And Samantha Powers is one of these, one of the top
yeah,
echelons of sort of deepest. Yeah, but yeah, this is weird. And TPLF, they're like Marxist nationalists. Like even long before that,
yeah,
they were the sort of a slightly more nationalist like segment of. I think that was their whole fucking civil war with Derg. So because Derg was also. They were also, or Derg, whatever. They were also sort of Marxist, but they were more like global. I mean, they all sold out to US, by the way. So that when the time came, when they came to power, they also left the US. Nobody
yeah.
continued the international revolution. But yes, so I don't know. I don't know. I like to see evidence if they're US backed. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I would
For
like to
sure.
see. I would like to see, but I really enjoyed this article in the Grayzone. I'd like to see a
The
Ben
article was
Norton.
so rich.
Yeah, if he writes something else or if he says something else, because yeah, his take on Ethiopia have always been haven't added up to me when I've seen it.